Hi, everyone. This is Leo Knighton Tallarico, and this is another edition of Perspectives from the Sky on this 5th day of February, 2022. Wow, 2022. Time flies. Seems like just yesterday we were turning into a new millennium, 2000. Now it's 2022. We're all getting older. Tonight, we have a special guest. Gaia Lamb will be with us. And Gaia is living in Sedona, as Deborah and I do. And she's a spiritual midwife. She awakens people to the ground of being, rebonding with physical life in the earth. We'll talk more about what she does, but mainly, the main reason that she's on is to help us understand that love continues after death. So we will talk to Gaia soon. Most likely toward the end of the first half hour or the beginning of the second half hour. And of course, Deborah Knighton Tallarico will be with us also. And since we've got Gaia talking about Mother Earth, she is Mother Earth, she's Gaia. We'll have Deborah talking about the return of the feminine on this planet and the return of the goddess. So the second half of the show, you're going to get a lot of the reality of the return of the feminine, the respect for our Mother Earth, and the integration of the feminine into our wholeness as humans here on planet Earth in the universe. You know, how do you feel now that everything's back direct? And I do mean everything's back direct. We had Venus go back direct on the 29th of January, and we had Mercury go direct just a few days ago. A lot of times when Mercury's retrograde, people we all seem to have a rough time. Sometimes it's on the physical plane. Electronic cars, things like that don't work the way we would like them to work, as efficiently as we'd like them to work. But even more so, up in our minds and our communication when Mercury's retrograde is where we sometimes have some stumbles. And I always advise people, please don't make any major decisions during Mercury retrograde, because during Mercury retrograde, our minds aren't working the same way that they usually work. Now, if you come from an intuitive place, a right brain place more, if that's where you make your decisions from, things might be okay. But most of us, most people, make their decisions with the left brain, analyzing, taking it down, looking at it logically, looking at the positives and the negatives. Not good at Mercury's retrograde, but now it's back direct again. But don't get all excited that now everything is clear immediately. It usually takes, a week, 10 days before Mercury starts getting back to its normal speed. So in other words, it's going retrograde, and then it stops, goes stationary, so it slows down, goes stationary like that, and then it goes back direct, but it's not going back to normal speed for a while. And usually when it gets back to normal speed is when you can expect your mind and your communication to be as efficient as you would like it to be. But a lot of people start feeling the clarity beginning almost immediately. Now, don't forget, Mercury only went retrograde overnight from February 3rd to February 4th. Today we're at February 5th. So we're just beginning Mercury direct. So what happens now? There's so much intensity because we had the eclipse season. And then we had the retrogrades along with that. And now the retrogrades are over. And it's time now to kind of let things settle in, let yourself get back to your normal way of looking at things, your normal way of your mind working. But most important, let direction and clarity come to you. In other words, you don't want to get back into the mind where it starts crunching, gotta get this, I gotta figure it out. That's not going to do you any good. Let the answers come to you. Do you know what I mean? I know you know what I mean. Be with it. Let the universe, let your deeper soul come to you to help you find the answers that you need. Trying too hard mentally is just going to be a frustrating endeavor. So I know a lot of you have been saying, oh, God, look at all this stuff going on in the world. And yeah, we talked about that a long time ago, how that eclipse season, about how Russia was going to endanger Ukraine, how the stock market was going to have a really rough time, how we'd be more concerned about China and Taiwan, Middle East and Iran. Well, especially with the Ukraine and with the stock market, those are hot items right now. Russia technically has not actually gone into Ukraine. Stock market has been floundering considerably. It has not crashed. But I can tell you that the direction of those things is going to continue the way it's going. We've spoken about it many times. So a lot of you that listen to this show regularly know that we're talking about Aquarian age consciousness that we've moved into, or we're beginning to, some people have moved into, but it's there. Those people that believe in New Earth believes that in July 2020, that's when New Earth started. Those like me that believe in the age of Aquarius, look how close this happened. July 2020 for New Earth. And I told people all along that on winter solstice 2020, the age of Aquarius would begin. So that 2020, within those 6 months, most people that are in the field of like the new world all agree within that 6-month time period that this new world, this new age has begun. So then people will say, well, come on, they're going to start a war. Our economy's tanking. What kind of a new age is that? What kind of a new earth is that? Well, it's not built in a day. The beginnings are there. People that are moving in the vanguard of it know that we're in this new world. We're in this new age. But sometimes it takes, not sometimes, it often takes a lot of challenge and even moving through dark places to get from an old place to a new place, from an old chapter of our lives to a new chapter of our lives. You know that in your individual life. Many of you are listening in, watching. You know that in your own life, many times when you had your spiritual awakening, or when you had just some great movement into something new in your life, that there was some pain, there was some darkness before you got to that place. Maybe you lost a job, maybe a marriage or an important relationship ended. Maybe somebody died that you really loved. And then after that, I'm not saying let's hope for these things to happen, but oftentimes that's the way it does happen. Not always, but oftentimes it happens. You have to go through some darkness before the light comes. And so that's the way where our world is at too. You can't have a world where like power and greed are running the world, and then all of a sudden snap your fingers and that's all gone, and we're into a new age. It doesn't happen that quickly. Not here on Earth, it doesn't. Remember, we have other dimensions, but then we have this earthly, as some people like to call it now, 3D dimension, and the world of duality. What is coming is the world, what's been getting stronger and stronger with the new age is the world of connections. So duality can be separation, as when you have war, or when you have a marriage or relationship where people are at each other's throats all the time and you actually aren't really connected on a deeper level. But then you have right over see that yin yang back there? That's the world, part of the world we're moving into, where, there's duality still, but the duality is based on the unity of the opposites, not the separation. Those two differences within the yin yang, they can have arguments. They can be one of them wants to walk out the door, but ultimately there's a connection there that stays. That's the yin yang symbol. It's about the connections between the opposites. And the Aquarian age is about diversity within unity. Remember, oftentimes in the past, people consider unity, I want people just like me in my club, in my group. Families do things that way. You're acting different than the rest of this family, so we don't really accept you. It happens often. And in a country, and in whatever. So what we're moving into is the respect and the love of those that are different, and at the same time, all of us in unity. The differences don't make us judge or hate those that are different. There's a respect that the differences of each one of us adds up to the unity of the whole of all of us. That's diversity within unity. And that's the age of Aquarius, because that is what Aquarius is about. Besides equality, besides fairness, besides liberation and freedom, these are all Aquarian traits. And that's the age that we have moved into. And this is the consciousness that we're all moving into. But remember, you've got the old ways, the old consciousness fighting to keep its grip on you and us. And we have to trust the universe and this movement into this new age in order to more fully embrace, accept, and trust it. And as we do, it gets stronger. And it will continue to get stronger. That I know. But we have challenges in the meantime. Yeah, Russia's likely to go into Ukraine. It's also likely that Russia and China are building up a connection to face up against the rest of the world, the Western world especially. That's real. That's why it's quite possible that the movement into Taiwan and the movement into Ukraine are happening together as planned. That's quite possible. This is part of what the new world is going to be, a changing of the geopolitical powers. There's got to be more equality across the world. Yes, a lot of people want to see China as a big enemy to hate, and Russia as a great big enemy to hate, and Putin as a great big enemy to hate. Don't do your best not to. At the same time that you're going to want, and I'm going to want our country to be able to be okay and survive and not go through too much pain and suffering. At the same time, we don't need to make enemy. We don't need to hate. And this is what the media is going to have you try to do. This is what you're going to be programmed to do, is to hate those that are on the other side. This is not a baseball game or a football game, y'all. This is real life. Sure, if it's a baseball game and a football game, you want your team to win and your team to lose. I don't think you should hate them, but you want the other team to lose and you're mad at them. Cool. But this is real life. It's not a sporting event. A lot of times our government is like a sporting event. The Republicans against the Democrats. I don't want to take anything you say and you're the enemy. This is how they treat one another. It should be about, we're living in a community that we want to make this community better. And instead of it being about competition to the extent that they make it to, it should be about how can we take your voice and my voice and somehow find some middle ground or some way of making it about what's going to be good for the community, not what's good just for me winning with my party. We've got a long way to go on that one here in this country. But I know that's where we're headed, and that's what we're going to do. So don't you also find it interesting? Deb and I were laughing about this the other day that, we had the Chinese New Year, the year of the tiger, which, by the way, is a pretty ferocious animal. And usually that does mean, from what I've read, that there's more need for action, getting things done, and some competition and things like that during the year of the tiger. But I think what's really interesting is that a team that almost never goes to the Super Bowl is going this year, and it's the Bengals. Ha ha ha. And that Super Bowl will be a week from this Sunday. And it's Cincinnati Bengals will be a part of that mix, along with the Los Angeles Rams. So, universal joke. It sounds like the Bengals will probably win if all goes as we're looking at it now. So remember again, everything's back to direct again. The eclipses are done. So if there's some decisions you got to make or a direction you're looking to choose in life, let it come to you now. It's going to come before very long as Mercury goes back to its regular speed. So what is coming up? So this week ought to be somewhat slow, I believe. I get surprised a lot. Should be somewhat slow. But as we get toward the end of the week, Mars is in Capricorn. It'll be exactly opposite the United States Sun in Cancer from like exactly on the 11th. So what is that next Friday? So you can expect, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, maybe a lot of feeling that out in the world, the United States is being opposed. And it's Mars, so it can feel intense. Sun in Cancer likes to be in its comfort zone, likes to feel safe. So with Mars and Capricorn opposite that, the feeling safety will probably be threatened. Not necessarily with any like event that happens, maybe, but just with the feeling of not feeling safe. Then there's a full moon on February 16th, and that full moon will be at 28 degrees of Leo. When there's a full moon, it's always the sun is exactly opposite the moon. So in this case, it'll be the sun at 28 degrees of Aquarius and the moon at 28 degrees of Leo. Something to keep in mind. Back in 2017, there was a total solar eclipse that was very powerful. That was during Trump's first year as president. And that was when in Virginia, there was the Nazis and the white supremacists were holding a rally. And then one of them ran over some woman, killed her. And that was when North Korea was strutting with Trump. And that was at 28 degrees of Leo. So I noticed when I have this book, all the countries of the world, if any of you are interested. The book is called, there it is. Can you read that? The Book of World Horoscopes by Nicholas Campion, Campion. And I use that, but he's got the birth dates of different countries around the world. And it's been very useful to me. Now, some countries, it's kind of nebulous what's the right birth date. But think of China. When was the birth of China or Russia? The United States is easy, July 4th, 1776. But these other countries, it's not so easy to know their exact birth date. But there are times what he'll do is he'll take, like, during the Communist Revolution in Russia in 1917. That'll be one potential birth date. Another potential birth date is when communism was usurped, when Yeltsin was on that big tank, and Gorbachev lost and Yeltsin won, and that was a big turning point for Russia too. And he's got that with those kind of countries, different birth dates. So that book's really good, and it really helps me to understand. So this 28 degrees of Leo, so 28 degrees of fixed signs, Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. If you've got anything in your chart, especially your sun, around that, like anywhere between 27 and 29 degrees of fixed signs, it's a meaningful place. And when that comes up again, like when a planet or a lunation comes to that same place, that means that things are triggered because of the original event. So this full moon is at 28 degrees of Aquarius Leo. And it has some amount of ability to trigger that event from total solar eclipse in 2017, plus all these countries, North Korea, United States. United States moon is at almost 28 degrees of Aquarius. So the United States and its values, it's going to come up. And that's important in the United States. We in the United States, we know that the original values as set in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, wonderful. A lot of things we talked about today, of the people, by the people, and for the people. Another one I didn't mention earlier. Important, wonderful values. But then what have we also had with it? A lot of greed. Money, nothing more important than money and fame. Look at the president that we had from 2016 to 2020. Rich and famous. Sometimes that's all people care about. But we've got some deeper values here that we need to return to. And this full moon will remind us of that. But it also might have some events out in the world that happen surrounding that full moon. So that is February 16th. So that whole week, it's not this week, but the next week, there's a potential for events, including the official invasion of Ukraine. The odds go up a bit that week. because on the 19th, which is our next show, the United States will have its first Pluto return ever. The United States was born with Pluto at 27 plus degrees of Capricorn. And after almost 250 years, Pluto goes back to that same place. Not this Saturday, Saturday, February 19th. We'll talk more about that at that show. We have some other surprise guests we'll let you know before they actually, we have that date, that show. Then in early March, there's a powerful aspect of Mars and Venus conjunct Pluto at that same 27 plus degrees of Capricorn, where the Pluto return is. Now remember, Pluto, the United States chart, is the military industrial complex. That means the military that we have sitting all across the world in different countries, including this one, and the economy, the capitalist economy that runs a lot of the world, is set in America and Western civilization by the military industrial complex. Whether you like it or not, that's the truth of it. And with it making its return after almost 250 years, there's going to be challenges to that military industrial complex. And you can see it happening already with the economy running into trouble and with the potential for military troubles. So we'll see exactly what that means, but that's what's in front of us. And then we move into April. April's going to have some really beautiful aspects that are going to happen, like Jupiter conjunct Neptune in April. In fact, look at April. What is it? April 11th, April 12th. Mark that down in your calendar. April 12th could be an important day. Mars will be at that 28 degrees of Aquarius. Remember, 28 degrees of fixed signs that we've been talking about. And the Jupiter conjunct Neptune will be that same day at 24 degrees of Pisces. It could be, in some ways, it could be a very magical day. It's Jupiter conjunct Neptune. If you can surrender, if you can let go, if you can let in the spiritual realities of your soul and the universe in that day, it's going to be beautiful. If you're not doing that, if you're on strong agendas, it's going to seem very confusing and very out of whack. So remember that date, April 12th. And again, like I said, Mars is at that 28 degrees, which could mean some events in the world that happen at that time too. Then we have a solar eclipse on April 30th at about 11 degrees of Taurus, almost 11 degrees of Taurus. It'll be conjunct Uranus in Taurus, which will be at 14 degrees of Taurus at that time. So you can look for things to shake up a little bit on the Earth. Because Taurus is more the Earth than any of the normal signs. I believe that Ceres has a lot to do with our Earth too, the asteroid. But let's just say that Taurus, or Venus in Taurus, has a lot to do with our earthly connection too. So that'll be then, April 30th. Then on May 15th, that's the most powerful of those two eclipses, I believe. That one will be in Scorpio. So the sun will be in Taurus, moon in Scorpio, full moon, lunar eclipse. That one's powerful. That one affects many different countries, especially the chart of Taiwan, of China, of Ukraine, of Russia. It could be a real turning point time, is that full moon lunar eclipse on May 15th. And then on May 29th, Mars conjuncts Jupiter in Aries, because Jupiter right now is in Pisces. Jupiter will move into Aries in May, and then Mars will conjunct that Jupiter in Aries on May 29th at about 3 degrees of Aries. That'll be square the United States Venus in Cancer. Venus in Cancer, more than any other spot in the United States chart, is the place of safety. Feeling nurtured, at home, and safe. So the Aries energy will be wake-up calls to that. So that takes us through a large part of this year. And again, remember It's all about we're moving into a new age, and that new age is about the connections. A lot we're taught about in our society and in our families are about life is random, it's chance, it's good luck and bad luck, or it's somebody's fault. You did it to me, I did it to you, I blame you, you blame me, instead of everything happening in a bigger picture in a meaningful way. That's the way the universe works. The universe works on love and truth. There was a wise woman I met many years ago in the Bay Area. She was giving a talk somewhere, and after the talk, I wanted to talk with her. I forget her name right now. Damn it! Darn it! Um, she told me. She says, "You know something? I know this. Not the United States. Earth is a reform school for wayward souls who've left unity, who've left the knowing of the connections that run the universe, who've left the knowledge that love and truth are what run this universe. So those wayward souls get sent here. Here we are, I guess. We're in this reform school. The better we can get to that feeling of unity, nirvana ultimately, and know it, the more we don't have to keep coming back to learn the same thing over and over again. We don't get it. It's unity. It's unity. It's unity. Everything is connected. The whole universe is connected. It's all meaningful. So when you get that, in my estimation, that's when you don't have to come back again. Maybe it's hard for people to not want to come back again. There's some beautiful things about being on this earth, my God, especially the beauty of it all. But the human family needs a lot of work. I know we're getting better through evolution, but right now we're not looking too good, especially here in this country. Keep in mind, though, this country's a teenager on the face of this earth. Only 200, almost 250 years old. So we're still learning. Let's just hope that we don't make any mistakes that stop our process, that we can continue to move further and further toward the unity that runs this universe and away from the need to feel that our egos and our greed for money are the most important reason for being here. So I think now it's about time that we turn to our first guest, and that is Ms. Gaia Lamb. Let me just reintroduce her before I bring her on. Ms. Gaia Lamb, MA, body-mind therapist, spiritual midwife. She awakens people to the ground of being, rebonding with physical life in the earth. Body bliss. So tell us more about that. It's a subtle movement awakened through breath and sound that elicits waves and pulsations which register at the speed of light. We are beginning to awaken a body that is multidimensional and resonates with the life of the planet, of nature, and of the galaxy. And to tell us about that, but she's mainly on to tell us about love continues after death. And here she is. Hey, Gaia.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Leo.
Welcome.
So interesting to hear what's coming up in the stars and going to help us along.
How are you? How are you feeling today, Gaia? In general,
Wonderful.
Good. You seem like you are.
Wonderful.
So here's some things I got from your site too, and from talking with you. 1980 was your spiritual awakening. 1984, you met your beloved Mitra.
Yeah.
2013, you were guided back to Sedona. And then in 2018, Mitra died. So take me through those events, starting with your spiritual awakening in 1980.
Well, it's kind of interesting, especially if you know Sedona or connected to Sedona, because I was driving cross country. I was divorced. My kids wanted to stay with their dad. I was agnostic. I was quite lost. And I was trying to find like, so many people, trying to find truth, trying to find my home. I went back to Florida to try living there where we had lived before I moved to California. That didn't work. Driving across country, came to Flagstaff, and I was supposed to turn down to Phoenix. And I missed the turn, and I took the turn down Oak Creek Canyon. I had no idea Sedona was here. Sedona wasn't well known back in the early 80s. And so I took the wrong turn driving down Oak Creek Canyon. Oh my goodness. I still feel the same feeling every time I come down the canyon. It feels like my jaw drops. And I go, what in the world is this?
Yes.
And then I saw got down, saw the art barn. I thought, oh, this is an artist community. Turned on 179. When I got to Chapel of the Holy Cross, it felt like my steering wheel turned. There was a sign. It said Chapel of the Holy Cross. And all of a sudden, my steering wheel's turning, and I'm driving up to the chapel, right up to the front door, which, nowadays you have to stand in line for with tourists. Yes. But back then you just drive up to the top, right? And walked in, big Bible down in the front, seemed to pull me down to it. And my eyes fell on Ecclesiastes 43, and it said, "Fear not. I have called you by your name. You are mine."
Agnostic, you heard that.
It resonated. I mean, it said, "You'll walk through the fire and you'll not be burned. You'll walk through the waters and you will not drown, for I, the Lord, am with you." Now, I didn't know who the Lord was. I was a very spiritual child, very devoted, really. But when I figured out that the big old white man in the sky, that can't be God for all the brown, yellow, and red people on the earth.
And women, yes.
Plus, I had an argument. Yeah, I had a big scene with that big old white man. It's like, no, I'm not going there. So anyway, had been like 18 years before that. And all those years I'd look up at the sky and I'd say, well, I'm talking to the sky. I know there's something, but I don't know. I don't know who's listening. So I went back to Sacramento, and in the next 6 months, my whole life changed. Everything turned. My career changed from teacher and educator to I started to mind body school, and I had it all happened. You spoke of that, to allowing things to happen, let the answers come to you. Yes. I advise people to do that, after they've been in Sedona, and then what am I going to do when I get home? It's like the answers will come to you.
Yes.
Just say yes. I had somebody come to me and say, I just have a feeling you might be interested in this class this weekend. It's a Mystical Christ weekend. And I thought, well, I said I'd say yes. So I went and met one of my teachers, Reg Newbond, who I was close to for the rest of his life. And I got my first Reiki initiation and started body-mind school and met Sri Aurobindo, who the path of integral yoga came forward. I didn't exactly know that it was my path then, but it's like Sri Aurobindo came to me and I knew that I was connected to him. And then, eventually I went to India in 1983 and definitely found the path of integral yoga, which is conscious evolution, which is what we're doing now.
Yes. Say more about that.
Consciously evolving.
Mm-hmm.
We are choosing to evolve. We are saying, yes, I want to evolve, or yes, I want to be better. Yes, I want to find my mission. So many people come to Sedona and they say, I want to find my mission. Yes. I'm 60 years old or 40 years old, 50 years old. I want to find my mission. So they want to find their purpose.
Yes.
And I say the first part of it is you. how you are evolving, and then how you express that will come. It will come to you. The universe doesn't leave us, fallow. If you're willing,
If we're open, that's right. Exactly.
the universe goes, all right,
Yes.
I got my girl, or I got my guy, come on, let's go.
Mhm.
So,
So then, take me to your meeting with Mitra. Then.
oh, well, oh, and he's here, by the way. He says, I'm not dead. I just don't have a body.
I like that.
So 1984, I'd gotten back from India, and I thought I was going to return to India. It didn't happen. Sometimes that, just like you were saying with the retrograde and left brain or right brain, I could have made it happen, but it wasn't going in that direction.
Right.
So I rented a big old Victorian because it came to me. I mean, it just stepped, it was obvious when I went down to look at it. The realtor said, I'm going to lower the rent today. Duh.
Really.
So anyway, I was there a few months, and I put on my first program, which was on body electronics, which I had just begun to learn and study and use. And a man named Maury Lamb, that was his name then, Maury or Maurice, came to my program. And he said he recognized me right away. I didn't recognize him right away. But it didn't take too long. And I think within 2 months, what happened was he came for a bodywork session. And at the end, as I put my hands on people, often, on their chest or on their back, he started sending the energy back to me. And it started looping. It's like neither one of us had ever experienced such profound energy before. Yeah. So I knew at that moment, it's like, whoops, I better pay attention. There's something going on here. So that was 36 years ago. We were together in the body, his body, or him in the body, for 33 years. And now it's going on 37, I guess. He passed over on Easter, which was also April Fool's Day, yes, which all of his friends knew he had to have chosen that combination. And he was.
What year was that? What year was that?
2018.
Yes.
So I've been learning over these past almost 4 years how to make contact with him.
And, Tell me how it started.
He sends me songs. And he sent me a song right away, just in my head, which I heard the day after he passed. Here comes the sun, da-da. Here comes. Well, Mitra, his spiritual name that he got in 2007 in India, Mitra is a solar deity. So when songs come about the sun,
yes, yeah, yep.
And then the second one was Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Oh, nice.
But then what I found was I would get in my car and a song would come on as I'm just, starting or driving down the street right from the beginning. And it was like giving me a message.
Yes.
So one of the first ones was come sail away with me.
Yes.
And it's a whole story of how I have to be free. I have to find my way. I have to go search the seas. And I'm listening to this and I'm going, oh my gosh, this Mitra talking to me. He was explaining why I had to leave because I was in grief, and I didn't want him to go.
So that was an important part of who he was, that freedom kind of feeling, sail away?
Well, yeah. Yes, definitely. And he was totally devoted. He was totally surrendered to the Divine Mother. And you spoke of, we're going to talk about Mother. Well, he was totally surrendered to the Divine Mother. And in our yoga, Sri Aurobindo says, all you have to do, which is not easy, is surrender to the Divine Mother.
That is the truth. That is the truth. Surrender is so difficult. Our egos are so powerful.
Men, especially.
Well, no, that's true. That's true. I find that to be true. And the male side of every woman.
Yes.
That-
Yeah, we're all, we all hang on like, oh, I'll do it myself. No, I can't let go. But boy, you let go. The most wonderful image of that I have in regard to Divine Mother is a mother cat with a newborn kitten in its mouth, moving it, and the
Yes.
little
Oh,
newborn
yes.
kitten is just hanging there. And
Yes.
the mother cat's got it so tenderly, so carefully.
Yeah.
That's a
So
beautiful
trusting. I mean,
image
trust
of,
is such an important part of surrender, isn't it?
yes,
And sometimes that's the hard part because people in the early
yes.
years get abused. And when you're abused, it's so hard to let go and to trust.
That is a core issue of many people, as you know.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't trust other people, or I can't trust men, or I just can't trust.
Can't trust the
So
universe.
exactly.
So tell me more about Mitra and his connections with you since that day.
Well, I woke up one morning and I didn't want to get out of bed. It's just like I didn't have work that day, and it's like, I don't want to get up. I don't feel good. I was in grief, and I heard, get up, get dressed, and go get your coffee at Starbucks. So I went, okay. So I got up, I got dressed, I got in the car, turned on the car radio, and a whole series of songs came.
Again, he works with songs to communicate with you a lot.
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
he's good at that. He said, this is easy. This is real easy. Somewhere, somehow, we'll find a new way of living. That was the
Yeah.
first
Oh, that's
for
perfect.
Barbara Streisand.
Yes.
Then there was a series, they all were connected. The last one was really fun. And again, his humor, you got to know when to hold them. You got to know when to fold them.
And
Know
he
when
knew.
to walk away. Know when to run. And
Yeah.
that's the whole story about a man dying and letting go. And it's just like, I get it. I get it. I get it.
How do you experience them? When you hear the music, Gaia, is it in your mind's eye? Do you actually hear it? How does it work for you?
Well, sometimes I get songs in my head,
Yes.
and I know, and we have some ongoing songs now that I know now he's contacting me. Like um especially oh dear, what is it? I can't think of the song right now, but um just a minute. Sorry.
It's
Um
okay.
Darn it, I wrote some of them down. Anyway, says, wherever you go, whatever you do, I'll be right there waiting for you.
Oh, nice.
So that's a song now. See, we're more in contact. He's not just trying to get me to realize he's there. He's getting me to pay attention.
You know he's there already. He doesn't have to do that part.
I already know he's there, but he's
Yeah.
going, Gaia, would you just give me a minute? and then I need to get quiet so that he can really be with me. And now we're starting to we can communicate. Plus, I'm working with my dreams, because in the dream, see, we're learning to contact each other. I mean, really feel, sense, and make full contact with one another. And we're using my dreams, because that's a real good intermediary place.
Mhm. Yes.
And recently, I was dreaming, but he came in and I saw him, and I felt him. And then I woke up. I had been dreaming, but oh my goodness, it was so real.
How recent was that? When was that?
A couple weeks ago.
Oh, wow. Was that the first time you actually saw him since he passed?
Yeah,
How nice. What did that make you feel?
wonderful.
Yeah. Oh, how nice.
Yeah. So, and I can feel him at night holding me. Actually, I have a pretty good sense of that. But the dreams are, I can feel, see, like completely. And then when I wake up, it's very real, because in the dreams, I think we're both in our subtle bodies. And that's what we
Yes.
all, you see, this is not just like I'm just doing this. This is because honestly, Mitra and I have always been forerunners. You know, you guys have too. We're kind of on the leading edge. We're working on stuff before, everybody is kind of alerted to, yeah, we
Yes.
need to work on that.
That's right.
We're learning to access our subtle body. Well, that's the body that you use for remote viewing, for instance. I have done that and practiced that, so I do have some practice at that. But I think it's something everybody kind of think about it, how to start working with and being in their subtle body.
Another way of saying is to be in your soul. So
Well, definitely, soul
would,
is involved. Yeah.
would you tell everyone how they can get a hold of you and what kind of work you can do for them before you leave us today?
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. Well, I do a transformational session that I really love to do. Two things. I'm so blessed that I get to do two major things together in one session, but they blend together. The first thing is the energy work that I do, body bliss. And I bring in, and I like to say initiate people into the supramental or galactic energy that's coming into the planet. Well, it's available to everybody. All you have
Yes,
to do is ask for it.
that's right.
But, if you haven't asked for it, then I'll suggest that we ask for it together and bring it in and fill the body. And then we can use it to activate things, to help other people, to help other places in the world. It's very practical. I'm a Virgo, so everything I do is very practical.
Yes, that's good.
So
That's
then they learn to center and ground and move in circles and spirals that Body Bliss does, which came out of Aikido and Tai Chi years ago. It was one of the first things I did, and then I thought everybody should be able to do this, and it brings about health in the body, relaxation and delight, and then we're evolving this body. So that's the more esoteric, you
I'd like
know.
I'd like to hear that because it's so much easier to evolve the mind, the spirit, and the soul. The body this seems like it's the last place that people actually get to move because the body holds all those stuck places. So to be able to be with someone who can help you to get the things in the body to move, I think that's a real gift.
It's essential.
Yeah.
Conscious evolution, it's in the body. It's our body, it's our DNA is changing, and we can assist it. So it's very exciting. And you really can't have full health unless you are loving your body. And loving your body means moving your body and breathing into your body, centering and grounding, connecting to the earth and nature. That's bringing in full health. It's very practical.
That makes a
But
lot of sense.
also, unity, oneness, it all comes through that for
How,
me.
how can people get a hold of you?
My website is the Sedona Vortex Experience.com. My booklet, which was very big and popular in Sedona back in the 80s and 90s when people bought books, is available there. And my phone number is 530-351-8473. Oh,
Say that
that's
one more time.
wrong. Excuse me.
What?
Sorry, 530. Totally forgot my phone number.
Okay.
Five. Um, I said the last number's wrong.
Oh,
Eight
say,
four
say,
seven
it, say, it, say it again, Gaia. All of it.
530-351-8478.
Beautiful. Thank you very much for being with us. I hope you'll come back with us to share your wisdom with us again.
Anytime.
Good.
Thank you, Leo.
You're welcome. Take good care of
Love you
yourself.
guys.
Thanks, Gaia. Bye. Well, that was very nice. That's very nice. She was very much in her heart today and shared a lot of wonderful experience, especially with her loved one. It should be something for all of us to say, you know, something, life does continue after death. The soul does continue, whatever way you want to look at it, subtle body, soul. It can, something continues, and we've got that ability to make those connections um, afterwards. And we're going to bring on now Deborah Alelia Knighton Tallarico, and she's going to tell us about the return of the goddess. So we got talking about the Your Mother Earth today, our bodies, part of the mother, and now Deborah's going to tell us about the return of the feminine and the return of the goddess. And there she is. Hi, Deb.
Hey everyone. That was so delightful hearing Gaia speak and your dialogue. That was really, really wonderful. And she kind of set the stage a little bit too, talking about her work with Sri Aurobindo and the mother,
Right.
and you know, the cat. And so, do you want to ask me a question, or do you want me to just
Yeah, no,
talk?
that's yeah. Let me ask you. So when people talk now about the return of the goddess, we know that the new Earth has begun. We know that the age of Aquarius has begun, and we know that the patriarchy has run our world for thousands of years. So when we talk about the return of the feminine, and we talk about the return of the goddess, tell me more what that means. I mean, does it mean that now the male side of things is going to be like pay its karma for what it's done in the patriarchy? Does it mean we're going to like find a way to bring the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine together? So the return of the goddess, what does it mean in all of these ways of looking at things?
Yeah, good question. To me, what I believe is the divine feminine and the goddess is not going to be like, it's bringing back love and the heart and compassion as the focus. And so when I don't feel like it's anything about like karmic debts, but I think the feminine, it's basically, the yin part of the yin and the yang has been suppressed,
Yes.
repressed, and persecuted, and the divine feminine, the feminine hasn't been honored for thousands of years. And and Mother Earth, who's part of she's like a divine mother goddess herself, Gaia is. And so it's really about bringing back a new way of being rather than the masculine way of being. It's not really because we all have that masculine and feminine within us, and we need to find balance of the
Yes.
masculine, feminine, the yin and the yang. But it's been so out of balance on our planet with so much yang orientation in our world. It's about what you do, what you manifest, what you accomplish, rather than some of the inner values of the feminine. So the feminine has a lot to do with our soul, right? The soul level, and if you think of the elements, water and earth are the feminine, very feminine elements of nature, right?
Yeah.
Water is like the flow, it's like the mother, the oceans, the rivers, the lakes. That's very much like the mother goddess energy, as is the earth.
Yes.
So this is really important that the yin comes back, and that it comes into balance with the yang. And so there may be some time where the yin might be a stronger focus, and it's that
Yes.
doing that inner work. It's relationship, Venus, the feminine is also ruled by the moon and Venus, honoring the cycles, the seasons of the earth and nature,
So this is
the
for men too.
planets.
This is for men too, to understand these things and to
Yes.
integrate these new waves inside ourselves also.
Yes. And everything outside of us is also within us.
Yes.
We're a microcosm of the macrocosm. So in each of us, we have all the elements too, and the earth. It's all connected. So it's just really important to also, I think, the feminine connected with the moon and Venus. The moon is that the cycles, the tides, and honoring that everything changes. That's very much the energies of the goddess and the divine feminine. The feminine can be wild, and it shifts. It changes. everything she touches changes, and everything that changes she touches. And then Venus is about being in sacred relationship. I think a lot of the divine feminine is about relationship with everything in life, relationship with ourself first and foremost, relationship with each other, and relationship with our earth, with all the elements, with all of life, and remembering the sacredness of all life is very much the feminine. And our earth, our planet, our humanity has been down some really rough roads for a really long time, and the feminine needs to come back where we can honor that sacredness and the sanctity of all life, and it's just so important.
Let me
And
add, let me add,
love as the center.
let me add this to,
Yeah.
to see what you think of this too, because oftentimes when people talk about the return of the feminine, it sounds like it's all love and light, and the feminine is also very powerful and very
Yes.
mysterious, and there's an unpredictability to it, at least as I feel it and see it. Tell everybody about that part, because some of the goddesses are powerful people of the dark who help us make some things.
Yeah, so even the mother, I mean, there's the, Kali.
Yes.
Kali's like Kali and Sekhmet and Durga. They're like, they were summoned when humanity and the masculine has been just dominating, and
Yes.
their energies have come back. And Gaia was just saying about 2022, and that's right, 2022 so much about love and relationships this
Yes.
year, and all the twos we're seeing.
Mhm.
And but anyway, yes, there's the and the dark mother, there's the voidal mothers, which are actually very loving. I remember when I first connected with Sekhmet, I was a little terrified,
Yes.
because she's got such powerful energy. And yet I actually was in her chamber in Egypt, and I fell in love with her. And she was like this loving goddess. She was dark, but she was loving. So the dark and the light, the dark is also very loving. And if we think about, the feminine being connected to the dark,
Yes.
and the dark is like, we need to sleep at night in the dark. The dark is what nourishes us. It's what rejuvenates us and restores us. The dark, like the void, the night sky, and the sky, the stars are in this dark void. And, thinking of the Hunab Ku, the center of our galaxy, is a great womb it's like the great dark womb of the mother. So
there's a lot of men that are afraid of the dark feminine, and the reason that they're afraid of it is because the dark feminine really, from my experience, has no patience with the hubris or
the ego
or the ego. And
Yeah.
so, she may be ultimately loving, but she may not feel loving in the moment when you're getting your ego taken
Exactly.
down in order to be able to get more connected to everything.
Exactly. And Kali's a prime example of that.
Kali's great, yeah.
Her main purpose is to cut away what is of the ego so you can be in your true self. And it's not always pretty. And I think what happens is in the universe, part of how the Divine Mother works is, when we're not getting the message and we're not doing the necessary transformation that we need to do, the growth, sometimes we get a difficult experience in our life to bring us to
Exactly.
that.
Yes.
Or like we have a Pluto transit, like we know about that. I just went through Pluto on my Venus. Pluto takes you to the underworld and back, but the ultimate goal is for transformation and empowerment.
Exactly.
And I think that's, the dark feminine, the wild feminine, the intense feminine, is to help us become empowered in our own sovereignty, our own sovereign divinity. And so the feminine isn't just nice and pretty.
That's what I'm trying
It's
to say.
also powerful.
Yes.
Strong.
But it doesn't mean power over, right?
No, it's
more
not
like just
power
empowered.
over. Empowered, and it's like like nature. Nature has power to it.
Yes.
Nature's not just a calm lake.
Right.
Nature has, volcanoes and earthquakes, and it's all part of the feminine. And the masculine too. I mean, the feminine and masculine are multidimensional.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's
I guess
many
we run.
layers.
I guess we run out of time
Oh,
already.
we have to go.
We do have to go. Thanks, Deb.
Yes.
I wanted you to talk more about the program you got coming up. We ran out of time today.
Yes. Well, people can visit my website if this is still going, which is Gaia Sophia Temple of the Heart.com. Again, that's Gaia Sophia Temple of the Heart.com. And my program, Path of the Goddess, that's starting in a week, about 10 days, is all up there. So you can read about it there.
Sounds good. And we want to thank Gaia Lamb again for being on our show. That was really wonderful having her on today. And hopefully she will come back. She said she will. So anyway, everyone,
that was awesome.
We'll be back on the 19th of February, 2 weeks from today. So everybody take care of yourselves and remember, love and truth. See you then. Bye, everybody.
Bye.